Morning, everyone, and thank you for being here, to those in person, and also for those who are watching us live streaming, and those attending in person at the Avalon School on Catalina Island. So we are also including our off-site location on Catalina, so we welcome our Avalon community. We'll get started with the pledge, so I'll have our student representative from Jordan, Gabriela Molina, to lead us in the pledge tonight.
Place your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, in liberty and justice and for all. Thank you.
Thank you. For those of you present in the room and at Avalon, the board appreciates and supports community input at our meetings. And as you heard, during the meeting, there will be time for the public to comment on matters on the agenda and matters not listed on the agenda. The board has been meeting in closed session regarding matters listed on today's agenda. The board took action on the following items. On item 3.1, the board voted 4-0 to approve the expulsion of student ID number 2011349290. On item 3.2, the board took the following actions. The board voted 4-0 to suspend a certificated employee without pay pursuant to Education Code Section 44939 and to authorize staff to issue a 30-day notice of dismissal in accordance with Education Code Section 44934 and directed the superintendent or designee to send out appropriate legal notices. The board voted 4-0 to demote one classified employee. On item 3.3, the board voted 4-0 to approve the settlement agreement in claim number 21861718. On item 3.4, the board voted 4-0 to approve a final settlement agreement and general release for the OAH case number 20240300094. On item 3.5, the board discussed the matter but took no reportable action. Yes, thank you. I will have our board secretary take a roll call to establish a quorum.
Thank you. President Craighead.
Here.
Member Lopez.
Present.
Member Miller.
Here.
Member Otto.
Here.
Student Member Arroyo.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, and just in time because we're going to go on with adoption of the agenda.
Move for approval. Second.
Any discussion? I'll ask our board secretary to take a roll call vote.
Member Lopez.
Aye.
Member Otto.
Aye.
President Craighead.
Aye.
Member Miller.
Aye.
And Student Member Arroyo, preferential vote.
Aye.
Thank you. That passes 4-0.
Thank you. And next on the agenda, we have our an introduction for our student, Gabriela Molina, who is joining us from Jordan. So, Gabriela, we look forward to hearing from you.
Mm-hmm. Good evening, Superintendent Dr. Baker, board members, and LBUSD staff and guests. My name is Gabriela Molina. I am the Student Body Vice President at Jordan High School. I am honored to present to you all today. I am born and raised in Long Beach. I attended Starr King Elementary and Lindsay Middle School before making my way to Jordan High School, where I am now applying for college and looking forward to graduation. Throughout my time here, I've been a familiar face around campus by staying involved in various activities. I spent 3 years on the cheerleading team and 1 season playing girls flag football, where we were second place in the opening season for the Moore League, where my season was cut short due to an ACL tear. Despite that setback, I've stayed involved, and I'm now in my 4th year in ASB, serving as vice president. I'm passionate about school spirit, leadership, and staying engaged with everything Jordan has to offer. Jordan has started with a very feel-good year. Building student sense of belonging has been a major focus for us in the last few years, and we are seeing the fruits of our labor. Our activities calendar is packed each month with student activities, celebrations, and ways to get involved at school. We had an amazing homecoming week in October with the highest number of participants at both the fair and the dance. Continuing in celebrations, our Student of the Quarter recognition lunch was a truly inspiring event. Over 118 students were nominated by their teachers for demonstrating great academic or character performance. These students were honored with a special lunch, received certificates and pins, and took photos with their teachers. This recognition not only celebrates their achievements, but also motivates all of our students to strive for greatness. Another standout event happened last Friday. 43 Jordan students attending a youth summit, and it was such a cool experience. Students participated in workshops on topics like building community with resourceful practices, creating the future with AI art, DJing, and beatboxing, and even a youth-led community art showcase. In addition to these enriching experiences, our pathway programs have been very active. Every pathway has participated in at least one work-based learning experience in Q1. This hands-on exposure is invaluable in helping our students get effective skills and a true understanding of their future careers. Turning to athletics, we are wrapping up our fall season and are now shifting to our winter sports. We are excited for our athletes to kick off their season. While we face challenges with off-campus faculties, our athletes have shown incredible resilience and determination. We can't wait for the opening of our new state-of-the-art faculties, which will provide our athletes with the high-quality resources we deserve. As you can see, the spirit of growth, innovation, and achievement is alive and well at Jordan. I am incredibly proud of our fellow classmates and thankful for the staff and community for all that we've accomplished together. Looking ahead, I encourage our middle school families to save the dates for Jordan Site Night. It will be on Thursday, January 16th, and would love for you all to come out and see the J-Town's magic in action. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Gabriella. Yeah, I don't know if we're done with you yet. I think we might have questions.
Sorry.
No problem. Who wants to start? Mr. Miller?
So you already answered this question for me personally, but I guess we might as well make it public record. So what are your plans after high school?
After high school, my major focus has always been attending U of O, but if that doesn't work out, I would say to stay here and do LBCC. Yeah.
Right. And what do you want to study?
I've always, a business has always caught my attention. Yeah.
U of O, is that University of Oklahoma?
No, University of Oregon. That's a great school too, though.
So you must be studying politics.
That's plan B. I'll keep that in mind. Thank you.
So is that the only school you've applied to, or have you applied to any other schools, or are you plans on applying to other schools?
I've done Cal State's, UC's, and a couple of out of state, like private ones, but my major focus has always been University of Oregon, and I've done early action for that one. Yeah.
Is that because of the football team this year?
No, I think it's because I'm more of a nature person, so I love their environment over there. Yeah. Yeah.
I do have one more question, and it's a little bit off the cuff, but I've just been curious. So with this being your senior year, I would say the campus has always kind of been a little bit in flux, but Jordan's campus is pretty much done. Have you felt any of the transition? I'm just curious on how your experience has been with the heavy amount of construction. I don't even know if you remember what the old campus looked like. Let's just say, thank goodness we got that construction bond done and we're getting all the good facilities built. But all things considered, how's your experience been with the construction and your senior year and all that kind of stuff?
I would say that with the construction being around, it's been kind of difficult for us, but I feel like it's brought us a little bit more united because it's a little bit more different from what other schools have. So, for example, like our football team, our sports overall, since we don't have a gym or a field, it like makes us feel a little bit more grateful for what we have for the upcoming seasons.
Yeah.
So I would say it does make it does make us feel a little bit different, but we're a little bit more grateful of what we have.
That's
Yeah.
great. Yeah, construction's always a tricky thing. I got one of my buddies who's in the room who does the oversight of our construction here. We have plenty of these conversations,
Yeah.
right? And construction could always be a disruptive
Yeah.
activity, but in the same token, when it's all said and done with, the campus is beautiful, the facilities are great,
Yeah.
and it ends up benefiting, it's going to end up benefiting generations of kids. But I've always been curious to hear someone else's
Well,
perspective.
for the first couple of weeks, like for construction, we would think that it was an earthquake because we would feel the tumble of the construction. But overall, it's been great. Yeah.
That's great to hear.
Thank you.
What are you most looking forward to in your senior year?
Senior year, I feel like other seniors, just walking the stage. Yeah, I feel like I would only want to finish off my school year doing the best I can, and because I believe I can, like straight A's. So I would say finish off the year with the great grades. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great mindset.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I also love your Plan B of Long Beach City College.
Yeah.
We have the college promise. That's going to give you a boost and a reprieve from 2 years worth of
Yeah.
tuition. So
stress,
I
yeah.
think it's a great plan. And I think we're going to take a moment to do a photo, Mr. Itzen. So we're going to invite you to come over here so we can do a photo.
Thank you.
Yes, come join. We'll direct our attention to the screen.
Hi, my name is Nirja. I'm a senior at CAMS and also an intern here at the Department of Communications. So as a student intern, I'm able to learn how to operate cameras as well as fix lighting and figure out how to kind of curate content for the social medias of the district. I'm in charge of like running podcasts, creating TikToks, and just helping out in general with any kind of content that the district assigns or content that I want to create and I'm passionate about.
Hi, my name is Michelle. I'm from Wilson and I'm the student worker here in the Department of Communications. So student voice, first of all, is very important to me. It means a lot of things. It means being able to express my opinion, what's going on in my school, and how I can fix those problems that are going on. I work with interns from different schools, so hearing their stories and hearing how we can fix issues going on in schools, it helps us talk to people and help solve those issues. And then we also create Instagram posts. We have spotlights where we get to highlight different clubs, different students, and it just shows what's going on in every school and how important these programs and clubs are and how we get to highlight that, because we take a lot of everything and we get to put it out there so it's known.
So student voice to me is a way for students to express their opinions and their perspective on what is happening in the district as opposed to solely the adults and kind of the administration that's in the district.
I think it's important for the district to listen to student voice because without the students, we wouldn't have the district. The students are the main, we're the main objective. Without us, it wouldn't be a district.
I think it's important for the district to listen to student voice because through student voice, the district is able to make decisions that support the students in the best way, as well as we're able to showcase our students and what they're accomplishing through the district and its opportunities.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things we do well is listen to student voices. And we should continue to do that. So, Gabriella, you're welcome to stay with us, but we understand it's a school night, and so if you need to leave, feel free. You're welcome. Next on the agenda, we have public testimony, and I will have our board secretary let us know who would like to speak.
Leslie Lewis, will you come to the podium?
Hi, my name is Leslie Lewis, and I'm a parent of a 13 and 10-year-old. Both of my children have been victims of name calling since they've been in LBUSD, and it isn't getting any better. It's bullying because it happens often, and it's harassment because one of the names was monkey, clearly racial. My daughter gave a mini history lesson on the word because her brother had been called African monkey the year before, and I gave her a mini history lesson. The name caller doubled down because she said it's just an animal, monkey, monkey, monkey. To this day, that has not been addressed. I talked to the counselor and principal, giving them the name, and nothing. This affects children, and while nothing can make it disappear, I think it's important to say something. And I'm not talking about putting the responsibility on 10-year-olds. Teachers shouldn't pretend not to hear or just refer it to the office. Stand up for my children. Don't wait until my children get to middle school and get so down on themselves and their self-esteem is so low. I see angry middle schoolers who seem to have chips on their shoulders. Maybe it's an actual boulder on their back. My daughter is in the classroom with the girl who called her monkey. Imagine that, sitting next to the person that called you a name. If it was at work, it would be called a toxic work environment. Even though it's uncomfortable, take up for my child. That's the only way that she'll know that you care about her, and she doesn't deserve this. That's the only way the perpetrator will know that this behavior is unacceptable. I got an accident report from the school nurse because my daughter got hit in the head again with a ball, and rightfully so, but words hurt also, and I've never gotten any notice, not when she was called black, not when she was called monkey, or the latest insult, she was called big back, and that one has a song to go along with it, TikTok. To be clear, my daughter does not want me here, and I don't want to have to be here, but I'm standing up for her, and I don't want to be the only one that is standing up for her. Things like this can so very easily lend itself to suicide ideation, and that's not far-fetched, because as a fifth grader, schools and friends is her whole world. I see her at home and what it does to her and how it breaks her down, and I don't want this to continue. Thank you.
Thank you. Letitia, can you make a note on that so we can follow up? Thank you.
Sure. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I just wanted to say bravo, Mom.
Okay, so that is the end for agenda items. Now we have one more person for non-agenda, which is Chase Arcangel.
Hello and good evening, everyone. I am Chase Archangel. I'm in the 5th grade at Garfield Elementary. The last time I spoke here was April, Autism Awareness Month. I like being autistic because I know I'm unique and it's a part of who I am. But I didn't always know about my strengths. Sometimes at school, I feel like I'm different from others and it feels hard to belong. At school on Autism Awareness Month, we do projects that are about famous people with autism. But local autistic leaders aren't recognized at school. Knowing about them, meeting and connecting with them would make a difference. I've been learning about running a business, and I just started my own business called Chase After Learning, or CAL for short. I made a map of my ideas and thought about who it would involve, what impact it would make, and how CAL would be accomplished at. CAL's mission is to encourage self-expression, to empower neurodivergent youth to find community, increase self-awareness, develop communication skills for self-advocacy, and promote inclusive ways of learning. Our vision is a world where neurodivergent youth are supported, understood, and valued within their communities. Through education, advocacy, and a strong sense of belonging, we aim to connect them with the tools they need to confidently advocate for themselves, thrive in educational settings, and reach their full potential. A few days ago, CAL held its first in-person event. I felt proud and less alone because I got to meet others like me, find things that we had in common, and did things that we liked to do. In attendance, we had students who are neurodivergent who came in with their families. We had elementary students, middle schoolers, and a high schooler. There was even an autistic college student from CSULB who attended. Outside of school, I've been learning from local leaders with disabilities who have inspired, motivated, and support me. At my school, there aren't many chances for kids like me to meet up. I'm here to promote opportunities for neurodivergent students to have the choice of meeting up. I think that the district can do more to help neurodivergent students feel valued for who they are. That can't happen if we remain invisible to each other. That can't happen if we don't recognize local leaders with disabilities. We will feel seen when we can see ourselves.
There's no more speakers.
We have no more speakers then? No? Well, that's very impactful, and I hope we can rise to the occasion. Okay, next we have reports on superintendent advisory groups. We'll start with the Business, Budget, and Policy Development Group. In Dr. Benitez's absence, I will give the brief report that we have nothing coming up for our next meeting. So that's the report. Next, we have instruction and student learning supports.
Super short. Parents were offered a training last week where they learned how to get services for students with disabilities. And this training was offered through the Parent University. And as we look forward, there are plans to train general ed teachers in working with students with disabilities. And these trainings would include how to make adjustments in the classrooms for students who have IEPs and 504s. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, workforce development.
No report today.
And student outcome-focused governance.
The student outcomes-focused governance committee is looking forward to the December 7th retreat or full all-day session to talk about this subject with our consultants on that. We're especially looking forward to it, I think, because we'll read a chapter in the book of our major consultant and be inspired by that and understand it. And then we'll go a month or two without doing much except brief meetings. And so a full day of talking about this way of doing governance, I think will help us kind of knit things together. And as far as I know, the people that I've talked to are really looking forward to that event, and we expect to have outcomes that come from that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is consent calendar A, and we need a motion.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion?
I do have a couple of questions.
Okay.
On item 14.6, number 3, if someone can just elaborate on the contract with Blocks for $434,850.
Yes, good evening, Board Member Lopez. I'm happy to provide more information around that item. Blocksy is a software system that's part of our student online safety program. And specifically, this tool allows teachers to monitor the student usage of devices in their classrooms. This does represent a 3-year contract, and it covers all of our schools, all of our students.
Thank you. And then number 13, there's another contract for staffing services for Head Start in the amount of $1,147,500. And my questions are we still short-staffed, and are we looking to hire additional staff members in the Head Start program?
So this is in addition to services that we have available, and it's to provide aid support inside of the Head Start programs.
So are we short-staffed and looking to fill positions still?
We're always looking to fill instructional aid, special education positions. So let that be a job announcement that we are always working to fill vacancies.
Were you all done? Okay, great. So I actually had 3 on 14.5 that I just wanted to highlight. First, I just wanted to thank Nguyen Lawyers and ALC for their monetary contribution to Cabrillo High School. Cabrillo is one of our campuses on the west side that is just doing some great work, man. And so for them to receive contribution of this size, unfortunately, it's rare for Cabrillo, but in the same token, it's very, very important. And so I just wanted to personally just thank these lawyers in particular for their support to Cabrillo and to our precious West Side, as it's an important piece. Also, we got another awesome contribution from I guess someone with their legal name, Brodus. If you know your Long Beach history, you know who that is, who made a pretty handsome contribution to Long Beach Poly. That's pretty awesome, man. I think that not only did this gentleman display our campus and our city very well on the national stage from the Olympics, but for him to continuously keep our school district in mind in regards to supporting the needs of our campuses is pretty darn cool. And so to give a handsome contribution of that size to support our famous Poly High School is pretty awesome. And so I just wanted to thank them. And then also I saw that I had a friend make a contribution, Miss Summer Temple. So thank you for that.
So can you share for the audience who the Brodus contributor is? Besides,
I could, but for that person's anonymity, I think I said that right. I'm going to say, if you Google the name, I can guarantee it'll be the first thing that pops up for you.
Yeah, good job. Good job. Did you have something?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Then without further discussion, we'll have our board secretary take a roll call vote.
Thank you. Member Lopez?
Aye.
Member Otto? President Craighead?
Aye.
Member Miller?
Aye.
And student member Arroyo, preferential vote.
Aye.
That passes 4-0.
Thank you. And next we have consent calendar B.
move approval.
Second.
Discussion? We have no discussion on consent calendar B?
Oh, Out of an abundance of caution, I will recuse myself from consent calendar B, item 15, as I have a potential conflict of interest under state law. Once again, my apologies.
No, that's okay. Any further discussion? We'll have our board secretary take a roll call vote for this
Member
one as well.
Lopez,
Aye.
Member Otto,
Aye.
President Craighead,
Aye.
Member Miller abstains, and Student Member Arroyo preferential vote.
Aye.
That passes 3-0.
Thank you. And under new business, item 16.1, approval of board policy 5141, .53, grades K through 6 suicide prevention. And this would be our first reading on this one, and it's information only. So are there any questions or comments about this item? Mr. Miller?
If we can just get a little bit of background on this item.
Sure. So we previously, well, currently we have a policy that is kindergarten through 12th grade on suicide prevention. And so the policy covers, in general, what we're going to do, and it covers meeting the requirements that are stated in the law, like the policies and procedures that have to be in place. So as part of our federal program monitoring, it was identified that our policy had to be broken up into 2 different policies, one for K through 6th grade, and then and the K through 6th grade one has to be written in a level, 5th grade level or lower, so that younger students can understand it. And then there has to be one for 7th through 12th grade. So essentially what we did is we took the old policy and made it for the 7th through 12th grade, and we made sure that it was aligned with the state's model policy. So there were actually no revisions other than dates on there. And then for the new policy, it's really just taking the existing policy and making it readable for younger students.
Thank you.
Is there any further discussion on this item? No.
This is B?
Excuse me?
B?
This is 16.1, new business.
Yeah. Calendar B. Nope. No
Okay.
further questions.
So it's an information item tonight, which means it'll come back to us for a vote at our next meeting. So next on the agenda, we have 16.2, approval of resolution 112024-A, adopting updated conflict of interest code.
Move for approval.
Second.
Discussion? Do we have any questions about this?
I know that there was some updates to the Levine Act. Is there any relativity to the updated Levine Act?
So forgive me,
information?
I'm not sure. Know what the Levine Act is personally.
So the Levine Act is the FPPC component of like contributions we receive
Yes,
from.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. So I apologize. I know under the number,
Yeah.
not the Levine Act, so
Yeah.
I apologize for that. So no, this policy, or this is just the updated conflict of interest code itself. So this needs to be biannually reviewed, and it really deals with financial conflicts of interest that would go to your Form 700. The code reviewing body is the Board of Supervisors, so annually we're notified that we need to make any modifications or adjustments. The only modifications or adjustments that are in here are the title changes that have occurred and the new positions that have occurred. Aside from that, there haven't been any other changes to the code. To your specific question is that that act applies to your financial disclosures under the Form 700, but you wouldn't have to identify that specifically in this code, conflict of interest code. Now, at your board study session, there is a proposal potentially to look at adopting a more comprehensive conflict of interest policy, which would include comments related to the Levine Act or related to those financial contributions. And that's something that you'll be addressing potentially if you decide to in December as to whether a more comprehensive policy, that this conflict of interest code that you're passing by resolution would also attach to that policy, but a policy would be broader to also indicate also other areas of conflict of interest that may arise under the Political Reform Act, the Common Law Conflict of Interest Code, some other kinds of conflicts, including that specific Levine Act would be mentioned within that bylaw.
Thank you for the clarification.
Is there any further discussion? I'll have our board secretary take a roll call vote.
Member Lopez?
Aye.
Member Otto?
Aye.
President Craighead?
Aye.
Member Miller?
Aye.
And Student Member Arroyo, preferential vote?
Aye.
That passes 4-0.
Next, we have item 16.3, date of organizational meeting. This is information, but we're also going to vote on that. We'll also take action. So we need a motion.
Motion to approve.
I'll second it. Okay, discussion?
Well, me and Doug are the two that are impacted by this, right? So, Doug, you can.
Well, I have a memo dated November 13th, and I think there may have been a subsequent one. I was literally out of the country until very recently, and I wondered if there was a subsequent one that. Okay, there was not. Well, the memorandum dated November 13th says that board members Miller and Otto were reelected, each receiving more than a majority of votes cast in the respective districts. I was not in the election under the code. I was declared elected because I did not have an opponent. And so it was, I think it's important to note that.
I do, yeah. And I do apologize. So Mr. Otto did confirm with me earlier. I didn't update the memo. I was going to correct it here orally. But yes, I do apologize for that error that because there was no other opponent in that particular race, that by operation of law, you were, there didn't need to be an election. So there was a mistake in terms of the memo. Non-substantive to this particular item, but just for clarification. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Good.
And so, in relation to this item, so I'm going to try and not invoke a lot of my personal interest into the item and just speak to it in principle here. The one thing that I recognize when it comes to these meetings is the amount of work that goes into it by the staff and by the team. I mean, from the folks that are in this building to the folks that are outside of this building, there are a lot of people who are impacted by the decisions made, and there are a lot of people who are interested, and it takes a lot of moving parts from Idson's team all the way down. And so I am appreciative of those efforts, and I'm cognizant of that, especially when it comes to the month of December. In the month of December, technically, we are scheduled to have 4 meetings, right? That is 4 times the 5 of us come into this room and suck up all the air. Oh, 6. 6 of us come in here and suck up all the air, but more importantly, have some important conversations, make some tough decisions on 70 to 80,000 people and a lot more families than that. But to that, the process in which these meetings are governed and the people who are involved, it also takes a lot of work for us to get into these roles. Doug didn't have a race. I did. We've all had to conduct a race now. And so we know the amount of effort that goes into that and the blood, sweat, and tears that are a result of that. And so when it comes to the process of being sworn in, it is a celebratory moment. I do think that treating it as its own separate day in its own separate event is important, not only just to celebrate us and pat ourselves on the back, but because I think that it is just its own entity, partially outside of the work, right? And so a part of me is hesitant in, let's say, consolidating the amount of meetings that we have for the month of December and going from 4 to 3, just because one of them is going to be more on the celebratory fashion. But I truly, now this is just personal, I truly believe that because it is celebratory to not only just the 5 of us that have to go through an election here, but the folks who are also impacted by it. I thought that it was also great for at least our body that it was on a Friday, because we know that there's a celebratory fashion to it. People want to go out to dinner and thank you for all your great work and want to talk to you about some of their ideas going into the next 4 years. And for us to have an event set aside from our normal business to take part in that process, but then to also provide an opportunity for us to celebrate, I think is a unique niche by the Long Beach Unified School District, but also a necessary one. And so, though, yes, I am very much appreciative of all the effort and all the work that it takes to put these meetings together. And yes, technically we were asking for a 4th day for all of the bells and whistles to be put together. I know, not just speaking for me, but for anybody in the future who has this opportunity, I would want them to have that one opportunity to not only be recognized, but to also to recognize those that helped them get to that point and not have to juxtapose it with the very complex decisions that we make on a daily basis.
Would anybody else like to speak to this?
I'll just say that I agree and appreciate that you're bringing that perspective, because I feel the same way. Thank you.
So I have a slightly different perspective on it, and that is that it seems to me that it's a great opportunity for board members to say what it is that their goals are and what it is that they want to accomplish, and to align themselves with the strategic plan, with the work that we do over time, so that our constituents and people in the city in general can evaluate and better understand what it is that we're trying to do and how we're going to measure that. And so that takes a little time, and therefore I was looking forward to that opportunity, for all of us to be able to say, here's what we're doing, and here's where we are, and I didn't want it to be lost, although I think that December is a very full month. I am particularly sensitive to the fact that I was actually not elected, but declared the winner in March, on March 3rd, in fact, and my wife says, are you sworn in yet? And I go, no, I'm sworn in 9 months later. And she said, well, are you still? And I said, we'll talk about this later. Yes, but I'm still on the board, and that's not a problem for this district. It's a problem with the legislature, because there ought to be ways around that, and there's a statute that probably something could happen. But in the meantime, I'm legitimately here, but I want to now. But I'm hoping that it's a chance for us to engage in what I call a generative conversation about where we are and what we're doing.
And I think that you can still do that on the 13th, in contrast to doing it on the 18th, which I don't know what the agenda is going to look like on the 18th just yet.
There's a new Secretary of Education now.
Oh, yeah. WWE. Good. But anyway.
By the way, I think the 13th conflicts with a wrestling match.
What's that?
It conflicts with a wrestling match.
Oh, okay. I see what you're trying to do, Doug, and I'm not going to get sucked in. I will say once again, just to hone in on the value that I was driving home, I truly would appreciate the opportunity to have it separate from our normal district business, even though it is part of our district business, just because of the celebratory components attached to it and the opportunity to show our appreciation to those that have supported our efforts to be in these roles. And I think that that's a little tricky to do when you juxtapose it with all of the other components that our school board meetings are composed of.
I will offer the one dissenting view on this, and up until about 4 years ago, we always had the reorganization and swearing in as part of a regular board meeting, and I know that there is room to have that involved. And, you know, things changed about 4 years ago because we used to have the swearing in and the reorganization held in July, and maybe that's a different meeting in July than it is in December. But I agree with the first part of what you said about how December is a very busy time, and I don't think that even if we consolidate the celebratory part, which would happen at the end of the meeting, we would conclude with the business of that meeting and then get to the celebratory part. I think it can all happen in one meeting. That's my opinion. But unless there's further discussion, we'll take a vote. So
I do want to clarify the motion on the table, and the intent from staff was just to bring this to your attention for the discussion as a possibility. I think when the original motion was made, so let me clarify, it was a motion to approve, and then that was seconded. What was unclear was it a motion to approve the recommendation? Yeah, please. So let's clarify what the motion was so we know what you're voting on.
Well, quite frankly, I wanted the motion to move forward with the
Just
discussion.
the discussion.
Yes.
In that case, what I might suggest is that you do an alternative motion or subsidiary motion or clarify the motion. If the motion to is approve the canceling of the December 4th meeting, December 3rd, consolidating the meetings, or to clarify, it sounds like from the discussion that the motion would be to continue with the current organizational meeting scheduled, which is already on the calendar.
Correct.
Yeah. So that's the motion. I just want to make sure you're voting on that particular motion.
So we would have to vote on it if it's already on the calendar. We've already voted to approve that
Except
meeting.
now you do have a motion on the table and a second, so you do need to take a vote. Yeah. And what I'm trying to figure out is if you need to take a no vote in order to continue the current schedule, or a yes vote in order to continue the current schedule. But from the conversation, what seems to be clear is, and maybe we can make a motion on the table for clarification as to voting to continue with the current schedule of the organizational meeting on December 13th.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So as a point of clarification, during this vote, if we vote yay, then that means that we would cancel the December 13th meeting and would consolidate the business that would have happened on the 13th on the 18th. If we vote no, then that means that we would keep the December 13th meeting and still have the December 18th meeting.
Based on how the original motion was
Based
made.
on how the original motion was made.
Thank you for
Great.
clarifying that.
Okay. So a no vote is we keep the calendar the way it is. An affirmative vote is we change the calendar.
That's how I understand it, correct.
Okay.
Eliminating one.
Then I'll ask our board secretary to take a roll call vote.
Member Lopez?
No.
Member Otto?
Will you repeat what the motion is?
The motion is to, can you repeat the motion? The motion is to keep the current scheduled meeting, organization meeting on December 13th. So if
That's
you-
not true.
if you
That's
wanna-
not right.
If you want to keep, that's the substance of it, but if you want to keep that, then the vote is no. It would be a no vote in order to keep the current schedule.
So yes, it's not?
Yeah, I'm being very clear, thank you. I know. I think Mr. Miller clarified
Yeah.
the motion pretty clearly.
If I could just provide
Please,
some clarity.
thank you.
The current motion is to approve staff's recommendation. And their recommendation is for the cancellation of the meeting on the 13th. So if you vote yes, you're agreeing with the staff's suggestion. If you vote no, then you're saying, no, I want to keep it the way that it is.
Thank you, Mr.
So, Member Otto.
No.
President Craighead.
Aye.
And Member Miller.
No.
So that fails. There's no motion approved, and we will continue with the December 13th meeting, correct?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Next, we're at report of board members, and we will start with Alana.
So I would like to report on this. Recently, we had the first meeting of the Superintendent Student Advisory Committee, also known as RSVP, Raising Student Voices and Participation. So for those who aren't familiar with RSVP, who may be watching, it's a committee made up of student representatives from almost all of the high schools in the district. And it's led by Dr. Baker and Dr. Twell. And in this committee, students are work together to provide feedback and collaborate to solve problems faced in our district, specifically in their schools. So the focus for this year is they're focusing on specific equity dilemmas at their individual schools, and they'll be working on finding solutions to those dilemmas throughout the school year. So in our first meeting, we just kind of had an introduction to the program and introduction to the new student representatives. So far, the first meeting went really smoothly, and I'm really excited for this year. We have a lot of great students who are just so ready and eager to provide their feedback and to put in work and create better environments for our schools, just to add on to the good environments that we already have. So I'm very excited to see what impact they'll have this year.
Thank you, Alana. Mr. Miller?
I'll be brief. First, I just wanted to thank the team, in particular, on the great CAC meeting that I went to last week. I talked a little bit about it at our last board meeting and how I was talking about the big trifecta that was happening on that Wednesday. Unfortunately, I didn't get to make it to everything, but the CAC meeting was one that was important to me. And as I attend those meetings, I more and more am appreciative of the great work and the level of care that the district putting around our students with special needs. And so as we still have plenty of room for growth, I am, over the past 4 years, I have seen just a heightened level of detail, heightened level of thought put into not only the meetings that are hosted for this group, but just the one-to-one opportunities for those parents. And so I just wanted to thank the team for all of their great work. And like I said, the great work to come. Next, I got an opportunity to attend the PACE CIC information meeting, and oh my goodness, was I so impressed with the teachers and parents who put on the event, the location, the amount of work and pride that people have for Poly High School, and more importantly, getting the word out. I think that when it comes to our school of choice process, there have been, the elephant in the room is there have been some people who have been frustrated with the process, and it is a cumbersome one to say the least. But I do appreciate the opportunity to get information and to make the best decision. And I think that those parents who worked with the staff to host that event, which was fantastic. I think they had a panel of I would say around 10 to 15 kids, and they were all just rock stars. There's a commercial that says you shouldn't use the term rock stars because rock stars are rock stars, but these kids were rock stars, to say the least. So I just wanted to send a big thank you to all that put on that event. I know as a parent who was in attendance, not just as a board member, I too felt informed, but more importantly, I felt the love that they had for that campus and all of the people who put in the hard work to support those students. And so kudos to you. And then last, but definitely not least, I'm jokingly saying this. This is a sad report. I think last year I talked about this fantastic gala I went to called Snow Gala, and it's hosted by a young man and his group of friends who just had an interest in wanting to do something for the community, and then they've turned it into this big nonprofit, and they host this gala for like 300 plus folks, and they raise hundreds of thousands of dollars, and then they turn that money into a toy drive that they give back to schools in our district. And they chose Garfield last year, and it was just off the chains. And so I was definitely looking forward to attending again this year. And so I just got word that they won't be hosting the gala this year, but they're still going to do the toy drive. And so all things considered, I mean, the party's always fun, but to hear that they're still going to follow through with their initial mission was and their commitment to our district, it's pretty cool. So I just wanted to give a big shout out to Shane and his friends for all of the great work that they've done for the students in our district, because we're still very appreciative, even though you're not giving us the fun party that comes with it.
Thank you. Mr. Otto?
In my efforts to talk to all the PTA presidents or leadership here in my district, and I had a great meeting with the president of the PTA at Rogers Middle School, and it was confirmed my desire to talk to everybody. Who's got a different story. They've got a different interest, and going back to a theme of my tenure on this board, it's all about relationships, and you get to know the people that are in these leadership roles and what they think about and what they care about, and it takes a while to do that. And so I'm continuing to do that. I'm hoping to get another one in next week. It is a very busy time of year for everybody, but the only other thing I would say is that I was out of the country last week, and I had an opportunity to talk to a lot of people from around from around the world, and I was at post-election, and it was just interesting to hear people's perspectives on things, and encouraging. The message that I shared with everyone was that in times like these, the great thing about the American democracy is that if important things happen, we implode to the middle. And it was a election that was had that was very, very hard fought, and in the end, it was successful. It was a good transition of power. There was not the kinds of things that I saw happen in South America or other places, and so I'm encouraged about what we're going to do from here. And in the conversations that I had with many different people from around the world, they were all impressed with the American educational system and how we seem to train our students and continue to try and make them successful in a variety of ways, and that they are successful. And that's in contrast to a lot of places where there's a lot of top-down efforts to be a particular way or do particular things. And it will be very important, I think, in the next 6 months to a year to watch how we handle these changes and how we as a nation in California, in Long Beach, deal with the challenges that we're going to have. And I'm very, very appreciative of our staff, their thoughtfulness, the hard work that goes into this, and that's going to be a real challenge going forward. And not because they won't be hardworking and thoughtful, but because there's a lot of challenges physically and otherwise that we're going to have to keep our shoulder to the wheel to make sure that we continue the great work that we do. That's all.
Thank you. Ms. Lopez.
And I'll be brief. I want to begin by acknowledging the teachers and parents who recently participated in parent-teacher conferences. Thank you all for working together to support the success of our students. I also want to send a shout out to the PACE and CIC parents who organized the informational meeting. For those interested in learning more about magnet and specialized programs at Poly, I too was there, Mr. Miller, and you're absolutely right. They did a phenomenal job bringing together such a large group of parents, and those students were just outstanding. And then just finally, as we approach the season of gratitude, I want to take a moment to thank each and every one of you, our dedicated students, our passionate educators, our supportive parents, and our devoted staff members. Thank you for your contributions to our schools. I hope you have a joyful and peaceful Thanksgiving.
Thank you. I'm going to start by reporting on an event I attended today. It was the Women in Trade event sponsored by the Port of Long Beach, and we had approximately 220 of our female students attend, and that is including female students from Reed and Avalon. So we had students that came over from Catalina and other schools, Cabrillo, Browning, Poly, Renaissance, Millikan, Lakewood, Sato. A wonderful event. Thank you to the Port for sponsoring this annual event and exposing our students to new career possibilities, and also for providing scholarship and intern opportunities. I think the budget this year for the Port was $350,000 for scholarships. So a huge partner for the school district, Port of Long Beach. So thank you, Port of Long Beach. Briefly, I'm just going to mention the CAC meeting. In case there's somebody out here or somebody out there, one of our millions of viewers who's not sure what the CAC is, that's a district-supported committee for parents of students with IEPs, and it's a space where issues and challenges can be addressed, and everyone is welcome. So if you have a student with an IEP, then you are welcome to attend. It's a monthly meeting. So let's see. Also, wow, I think it was Monday night, Band Spectacular. It was cold. So I want to thank Mona Merlot for sharing her blanket so I didn't have to sit on the metal stadium thing. It was a fabulous event. We had our 6 comprehensive high schools all participate. The band, I don't even know if we call them marching bands anymore, because what they do is put on a show. It's a whole, it's spectacular, but it's the band, the color guard. They have props and costumes, and it's a production. It was very wonderful. Each individual high school performed, and then everyone performed together, and they included some of our middle school musicians. So that was fabulous. Let's see, there was a Veterans Day event at Twain. We had guests who spoke to the students, veteran family members and family members who are currently serving, family members of the students at Twain, which I think makes it relatable. If you're a student sitting in that auditorium and you're hearing about so-and-so's uncle or so-and-so's grandfather or whatever, then you can relate to what that family is going through. And then also, our mayor, Rex Richardson, was a guest speaker, and he talked to the kids about how veterans are like superheroes. And so he also made it very relatable and really started a very fun conversation with the kids about that. And then something very historic happened last week. We had a celebration in our Cambodian community of the release of the Cambodian American Studies model curriculum. And for years, we have had pressure on the district to provide a dual immersion strand in Khmer, and we have not been able to do that because no curriculum exists, no textbooks, that sort of thing. And now we have that in place. So it was a beautiful celebration, music, dancing, food, wonderful. I was lucky enough to be invited to that. And then I had the pleasure to attend the Cambodian American Studies Conference. That was a 2-day conference, Friday and Saturday. And we had participants from the Inland Empire, as far south as San Diego, Orange County. So it was really a well-attended conference and one of a kind. I don't know if that has ever happened before, but there were breakout sessions honoring our Cambodian culture, like water blessings, art, reconstructing identity and community, and stories of resilience and genocide survival. I attended a breakout session with Ms. Chan Hobson. She's the executive director for KPA, the Khmer Parent Association. She talked about her survival. Very impactful. And then in the same session, we heard from Mr. Dareth Ung, and he is a teacher at Wilson, and he started with the district as a Khmer language translator. And I believe to this day he is the only teacher in the state of California qualified to teach Khmer language, as far as, that's concerned. And now with this new model curriculum, we're going to be able to increase those numbers. We're going to be able to offer Khmer language in our schools on a more broad scale than just at Wilson. And I had an idea coming away from this conference, listening to these stories, that if it's possible, it would be nice to have a video library, because we have people now that are aging, but they have this experience that they've gone through. And it's right now it's a living history because they're able to tell their first person stories of what happened. And there's nothing quite like hearing from somebody who experienced this traumatic event. And maybe that's not the only thing. We should have a video library of other stories as well, but that's just an idea. I'm going to throw it out there. After seeing the video today that the students had a part with, maybe that would be something for interns to work on in the summer. I don't know, but I'm just putting it out there. Okay, so tonight our superintendent's report will be given by our deputy superintendent, Dr. Brown.
Thank you. Good evening. On behalf of Dr. Baker in her absence, I just want to extend an additional message of gratitude. It's the season of gratitude, which should really be any day. But I want to express deep appreciation for our students, our families, our community partners, and specifically to our staff for all of the ways that people show up, both seen and unseen, in care of our students and communities. We hope that the week ahead allows you rest and joy and safe travel inside of our community and outside of our community. And just want to express the commitment as we return to continue with all of the work that we have really thoughtfully laid out in partnership with community around Vision 2035. So at the core of our Vision 2035 work is the commitment to be a system that supports those who have been furthest from justice and who have experienced harm inside of many systems, including ours. And I want to highlight the idea that when we work towards this vision, no one loses, but we become a community that wins together. And when we return from break, I realized today, as I was thinking about it, it will be December. And that's kind of feels like it came up quickly. But we're ending the year with strength and with commitment to learn and to work hard and to be better for the thousands of young people who are counting on us, our schools and our system, to do right by them. Finally, a couple announcement items. I want to highlight that Wilson High School remains our standing football team, approaching the semifinals. On Friday evening, 7 o'clock at Wilson High School, they're playing Great Oaks High School. And so that's really exciting to see the Bruins moving forward in that way. So I think the motto is it's a great day to be a Bruin, and that will be true regardless of the outcome on Friday night. But we want to extend just congratulations to Wilson High School. And then also want to highlight a really, really special event called the Hackathon, which I think is probably in its, I want to say, 7th or 8th year. The Hackathon, for those that don't know, is an event that allows what has become primarily students to actually hack a cause and effect toy to make it a usable toy for students with disabilities. And it's a really amazing event for students, specifically at Sato and Cabrillo and a number of our high schools who have amazing STEM programs and brilliant students to demonstrate their skills to create a toy that brings a lot of joy for some of our students with disabilities. That's on December 5th, and it's at 5 o'clock at Sato. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, I think everybody has said it so nicely about having gratitude, so I won't belabor the point, but we are grateful to all of those, staff, teachers that make everything work. Our next regularly scheduled meeting is Wednesday, December 4th. So without any objection, we'll adjourn our meeting tonight. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you for everything you do. And apparently, we'll see you next in December. Thank you.